And a good Sunday evening to you, Roger Hill, Wuthering Heights Consulting. This VELCO Weather Hazards Outlook is valid tomorrow, Monday through Saturday, December the 9th. Not a relatively big deal going on across the country right now. There is a system that's off the southwest west of Baja here, southwest coast, and a very persistent band of moisture working into the areas around Washington, the Olympic Peninsula. Other than that, not a whole lot going on. A lot of this is due to this big ridge of higher pressure that's going to be pushing in kind of flat. Not really especially a sharp trough of lower pressure, but that is advancing out of the region. So what we're looking at is some good project weather fading Monday night as the storm system will eventually track into the Great Lakes. This will bring mild weather into the region. This takes place late Monday night into Tuesday. And also a low-end gradient wind gust across the Champlain Valley primarily. Some of the northern higher mountain summits could see some wind gusts over 40 miles per hour. It's a very slight mix of front-end precipitation working in, just affecting travel, no utility issues there. And also the back end with a shot of really primarily rain that's going to transition into the region. It'll eventually end with some wet snow across mountain summits, not until Wednesday morning. Now this is part of a large-scale weather pattern that we've been watching, and it's getting ready to sweep into the nation here from west to east. And this will take place for us across the region midweek, and more seasonable colder temperatures into later December. Lake effect snow plumes after the frontal system moves on by will be moving across Vermont occasionally from time to time. This will happen Wednesday through Friday before good project weather and a small bubble of higher pressure develops along about Friday night into most of Saturday. One interesting thing in the weather is taking place, and it is this trough of lower pressure. And look at some of these wind gusts sweeping across portions of, really from the colder air behind that trough is advecting very rapidly with this tight pressure gradient into Utah, really from Nevada, Utah into Wyoming. This is going to produce quite a bit of wind out in this general area. So you can see that kind of flat ridge and that trough moving in across the Rockies in the west. This is going to become a lee low east of Colorado, Wyoming, and spin up and work into the Great Lakes region. And you can see it over here, Lake Superior here. This is valid Monday night, about 1 o'clock in the morning. This is into Tuesday. We get into that stronger pressure gradient just out ahead of it right here at 48 hours. And you can see some pretty good pressure gradient that's tightened up here, and that's going to basically form the Champlain Valley channeling wind effect. And we get into some precipitation on the front end. It's mostly going to fall in the form of rain. It's a little beefier than some of the frontal systems we've been seeing because it's tapped into the Gulf of Mexico. So a pretty good stream of subtropical moisture actually is making it north and spreading pretty rapidly into the northeast U.S. On the backside, it changes off to a little bit of snow. And you can see some lake effect snow bands begin to work off the Great Lakes. There's much colder air, and those blue dashed lines there, those thicknesses are much colder. They support all snow. So this is valid about Thursday morning. A few of these lake effect plumes reach all the way into Vermont. Then we have one weather system that shoots off the coast along about Saturday. It will develop a little bit of a ridge of higher pressure, but note the trough begins to sharpen up considerably, and that could form some coastal lows eventually up and down the eastern seaboard beyond this period. So other than those lake effect plumes here a little bit later on in the period, we have one major player, and that's that cold front that's going to be forcing in some little bit of much needed moisture. And it falls primarily, again, this is on Burlington. This is the GFS ensemble, and it does switch over to snow. This will be taking place, it looks like, really late Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. And then it tails off, and that's going to be about it. Just a little bit of lake effect plume. Total accumulated precipitation over the next 7 days shows us a little bit between about 1 inch and 1.5 inches here. And this will be mainly associated with that frontal system, which will drive some moisture coming in again out of the Gulf of Mexico. And this is that system that moves through the Great Lakes where it does unload a little bit more moisture. So temperature plot of the GFS centered on Burlington, Vermont. Warmest day coming, it looks like, is going to be really on, this is Monday, that's Tuesday, and so basically late the day on Tuesday, and then a pretty good temperature fall, and we stay a little bit below temperatures of 32, at least at night, and 850 millibars, you can see where we go above freezing. That's going to be primarily rain, and then that temperature lowers. That's going to switch off to snow on the tail end. So a couple areas here, you may have a little bit of front-end business, probably not so much, just basically travel related, and then on the backside, some summit snows, but not very much as well. The lake effect snows will continue as temperatures get pretty cold a lot thereafter. Weighted temperatures over the next 7 days, you can see running about 6 degrees above normal. These are maximum temperatures. Daytime highs, 1 through 5 days. And 3 days later, you can see a little bit of a cooling trend. And this is our winter setup, I think. This is going to be mid to late December, mostly mid-December. But colder than normal temperatures have finally made it, and we have a big ridging of higher pressure. It's going to warm up the west. It's going to shut off any kind of gravy train coming out of the Pacific. Going over the top of the ridge, it's going to dive down, bring occasionally some cross-polar air. And the first signs of that is starting to happen. And again, it's going to be warmer than normal to the north and east, where there's going to be a large blocking area of higher pressure over northeastern Canada. Kind of illustrating the point center on Montpelier, this is the GFS 2-meter temperature anomaly. We go above normal on Tuesday, and then a pretty good temperature fall. We kind of level out for later in the week, and then thereafter we'll start to see colder and colder temperatures. Now, looking at wind gusts, of a most immediate concern is going to be some channeling winds moving into the Champlain Valley. Also the high peaks region of the Adirondacks and the northern Green Mountains. This looks to be the maximum, roughly about 1 o'clock in the afternoon on Tuesday. Those winds then come down by 7 o'clock on Tuesday evening, basically, and the winds will be shifting to out of the west and eventually northwest into the Tuesday night and Wednesday. And we'll leave with this, a pretty strong blast of winds, again, moving out of parts of the Great Basin into the northern Rockies. Roger Hill, Wuthering Heights, thanks for watching.